Righto, Talio there champs and welcome to the show. So this thing here, the ASUS Turbo 1080 Ti, is unassuming, humble, and dare I say budget. I know it's a bit of an oxymoron, 1080 Ti being budget and so on, but literally there are 1080 Ti's that cost hundreds of dollars more than this one. So I'll leave down there in the description where you can buy this thing. I got it from M-Wave, and if you're an Aussie, I do recommend M-Wave. I ordered this Wednesday afternoon, got it Thursday morning interstate. Wow, now that is service, and thanks for M-Wave for getting this out to me as quick as possible. And this is the fastest graphics card I have tested, period. Unbelievable. This thing can boogie. It actually smashing all my benchmark records, and I've tested Titan X's, high-end 1080 Ti's, and this one here is the fastest. So I definitely think I hit the lottery with this one. Now just looking at it, it comes in like a really small box compared to the 1080 Ti Strix, which I've reviewed. You can check that out. Strix box is much bigger, and actually when it came I thought, well, this can't be a graphics card, this is too small. Open the box and you'll just see this sort of stealthy looking black blower type style graphics card. No thrills, no bells and whistles. It's just basically a 1080 Ti, no backing plate, no RGB, no super expensive cooler on it. Now even though it doesn't have a super expensive cooler, it definitely doesn't get hot and it doesn't get loud, especially being a blower type graphics card. So if you just look on the front plain, it's got the fan there, 2 ball bearing fans, so it lasts twice as long. It's just pretty blank on the front. Has a white little sort of line going across it. On the top you have a LED backlit ASUS logo, which looks pretty good. On the back, nothing to see here, no backing plate. And on the I/O front, of course it's VR ready. Has 2 HDMI 2.0s and 2 display ports there. So it's got everything you need, but nothing you don't need. And if you just want the fastest 1080 Ti and pay the least amount of money, this is the one, because it's going to be as fast as anything in a 1080 Ti space, but it's going to cost you a lot less than the higher end ones. Now, I'm not saying that those higher end models aren't worth it. They are. They have some RGB, they have much more expensive heat sinks, backing plates. We're talking like external fan headers, RGB headers. They are worth it if you need that stuff. But if you just want raw performance, this is the way to go. Now, it performs like every other 1080 Ti stock. It doesn't have an overclock. It just runs at the stock 1080 Ti speeds, but we want to see how it overclocks. There's no point me giving you the benchmarks of stock 1080 Ti. They're all the same. And I was able to get 182 megahertz out of this overclock and around 400 megahertz on the memory. So this was actually able to overclock faster than DeBauer's 1080 Ti, which I'll leave a link in the description to where he does an overclock tutorial on 1080 Ti's, and this one actually clocked faster than the one he had, and he cherry picked his out too. He picked out of a few of them, this one overclocked faster. And even with the new supposition benchmark, I was able to get within 5 of DeBauer's score, and believe me, he was using a better motherboard, better power supply and better RAM than I was, and I definitely could have got a bit more out of this. I just really, I'm not going to waste hours just to get a couple extra frames, but just to match his cherry pick 1080 Ti, that is like amazing. So have a look at this GTA 5 video in the background and you will see this thing loves to sit at 2000 megahertz and over. It can sit there indefinitely. I've had graphics cards that, yeah, they will burst into the 2 gigahertz, but they don't like to sit there. They'll sit in the high 1900s and they'll burst there occasionally, but this one here sits in the 2000s and it will stay there indefinitely. And even then, when it's overclocked like that, it's not even that hot. It's getting 70 degrees. Now if you leave it stock, you'll see in this video, watch this video carefully because I changed from overclock to stock and back to overclock again. You'll see that stock, it actually gets higher temperatures. That's because the fan sort of tops out at about 50%. When I overclock, I increase the fan. Also, you'll see that stock, it gets around 1800 megahertz. So you're going to get an extra 200 plus megahertz out of it if you overclock it. And yeah, if you put those fans on a bit higher, you will get those cooler temperatures. And it's not going to be as cool as a Strix or as quiet as a Strix, but it's not really that loud. It's definitely quieter than a Titan X. You're looking at around 80 degrees when you leave it in the stock configuration, and stock, the fan isn't that loud. So let's have a look at these awesome benchmarks. You can watch this video in the background, and here it is. This is overclocked, 4K, high settings for all of them, DSX, Mankind Divided, 70 frames per second. Wow, that's the highest score I've ever had on DSX, Mankind Divided. GTA 5, 109 frames per second. Amazing. You can see this card really hammers. Battlefield 1, 91 frames per second. Again, my highest score on Battlefield, 4K, high settings. Crysis 3, 87 frames per second. Ditto. And Dirt 4, high settings, 4K, 76 frames per second. You can really see this thing is a beast. If you just want the best performing 1080 Ti for the least amount of money, this is the way to go. If you want to buy those higher end ones, you do get advantages with those ones. But if you just want raw speed, it's not the best looking thing out there. It's not the quietest, it's not the coolest, but it's definitely the fastest in this case for me. And really, it's going to be as fast as any other 1080 Ti out there. So if this video was helpful, give me a thumbs up there. Let me know in the comments down there. Would you buy a budget 1080 Ti? That sounds stupid, but would you buy the lower end 1080 Ti or would you go for the higher end one? Any questions? Leave them down there in the comments. If you're new around here, why not subscribe? Got lots more tech content coming soon. And until next time, guys, tally ho. you.